Have you ever been in that moment where you know your truth, not just intellectually, but in your body? You know what action aligns with it, and yet you just can't step into the action. That space can be incredibly frustrating. And when you have insight without movement, it can feel almost unbearable. I know this place well. I lived it. We tend to respond by pushing ourselves. We use self-talk to motivate. Sometimes we even shame ourselves into trying to move faster. And still, nothing. So, what if we did neither? What if we didn't push or shame? What if instead we normalize the waiting, the fog, the anticipation, that almost ready feeling? What if we allowed the body to decide when it's ready? Not when the mind thinks it should be, but when safety is actually present. When we allow the body to decide when it's ready to take action, something subtle but powerful happens. We stop fighting ourselves internally. The constant back and forth, the negotiating, the future telling, it all quiets. And the only question left is a simple one. What does my body say? Because until the nervous system feels safe enough to move, no change will actually hold. That's where safety often gets misunderstood. Many of us were taught explicitly or implicitly that safety means not doing, not feeling, or sometimes not even being. Those messages come from everywhere. Family patterns, cultural expectations, and survival-based norms we didn't choose. So we grow up believing that if we just push through the hard thing, if we decide, act, or endure long enough, then we will feel safe afterwards. It's kind of a crock. But when we try to move before safety is present, the body responds. Not as rebellion, not as sabotage, but as protection. Because safety is not comfort. It doesn't live in avoidance. It is not the same as staying small. Safety arrives as permission. Permission from the body to hold greater capacity, to experience a wider range of emotions, both expansion and discomfort, without bracing for consequence. Safety is a body that isn't preparing for impact. It's internal steadiness. And it's what makes clarity possible. And this is the piece most of us miss, because When clarity doesn't come, we assume something is wrong. We must be blocked. I'm disconnected. I'm being avoidant. But what if the lack of clarity isn't the problem to solve? What if it's information? What if the body is saying, I can't let you see clearly yet because I'm still keeping you safe? So let's talk about why the body does this. The body is a container through which we experience life. It holds the organs and systems that allow us to be here at all. It receives information constantly from the outside world through sight, sound, touch, smell, and from the inside through sensation, emotion, and perception. Everything we experience has to move through the body. When information comes in, the brain does what it's designed to do. It sorts, it categorizes, it decides what feels familiar, what feels neutral, and what feels like danger. But when the system takes on more threat, more stress, or uncertainty than it has the capacity to process, something important happens. The body doesn't push for clarity. It actually pulls back. Not because it's failing, but because it's protecting regulation. There isn't enough capacity to safely integrate what's coming in. Clarity becomes fog. Energy drops. Thinking slows. Decisions feel unreachable. This isn't dysfunction, it's protection. The brain fog, the fatigue, the inability to find clarity are often signs that the nervous system is holding the line, preventing overload so the system doesn't lose stability. This is why building capacity matters. The more internal steadiness, self-trust, and recognition you have, the more the body can hold without going into defense. And when the body feels capable of holding what clarity would require, clarity is allowed to arrive. Have you ever watched young children, particularly toddlers? They are full body beings. When they feel safe, they move with curiosity and play and joy. They don't have to think about whether they should do something. They follow what feels right in the moment. And just as naturally, they pause around people or situations that don't feel safe. Not because they analyzed it, but because their body knows. Then slowly, something changes. Culture steps in. Expectations, rules, pressure. We're taught to stop sensing and start thinking, to override our internal signals, to decide from the head instead of the body. So the order flips. Instead of trusting safety and sensing first, we learn to think, then decide, then act, and hope that safety comes later. But the body never agreed to that order. The body's sequence has always been safety, sensing, clarity, movement. When we try to reverse it, the system resists. Not to stop us, well, maybe a little, but to bring us back into the natural order in which we thrive. The key here is that safety in the body has to be present before clarity can arise. And often we don't know in the moment whether we feel safe or not. So instead of trying to identify safely directly, it's often more helpful to recognize what safety is not. When the body doesn't feel safe, the mental body tends to go into override. We overthink. We analyze every angle, looking for the missing piece that will finally bring clarity. We over-research, trying to gather more information about the person or the place or the situation we're unsure about. We collect perspectives from others, but don't fully trust any of them. The emotional body often feels a sense of urgency, a pressure to know, to decide, to act now. And sometimes there's a confusing split that happens. You may feel clear when you're alone, when you imagine the situation quietly, when no one else is present. But then the moment you're around the person or in the environment or facing that situation directly, the clarity disappears. That's not inconsistency. It's information. It's a sign that clarity hasn't been integrated into safety yet. When urgency builds without safety, the body eventually freezes. Not to punish you, but to prevent the overload. This is the place where there are no words, there are no emotions, and there is no action. And again, it isn't failure, it's protection. The truth is, safety is kind of boring. It doesn't arrive with butterflies in your stomach or a surge of adrenaline or even a moment where everything feels suddenly exciting and clear. Safety is much quieter than that. It's an undercurrent of steadiness, a sense that you're not bracing, that you're not preparing for impact. Safety is built through consistency and containment, through staying in relationship with your truth, not anyone else's. It's the relationship you have with yourself, your beliefs, your wants and needs, your internal foundation. And no one can build that foundation for you. One way I like to think about it is the structure of a house. So the house needs corners. I call those pillars, something the foundation rests on, right? So you might choose 4, just like the corners of a foundation. It might be honesty, integrity, loyalty, compassion, or it might be empathy or kindness. These aren't rules, they're anchors. Your anchors. Safety grows when you don't let what violates those anchors live on the foundation you're building. And this part matters. That foundation isn't strengthened through intensity. It's strengthened through time. Now, sometimes something will slip into the side door, blend into the furniture. That's okay. When you notice it no longer belongs, you don't need force. You don't need drama. You simply remove it. That's how safety builds. Quietly, over time. And that's why clarity follows when it's ready. Not because you demanded it, but because the structure beneath you can finally hold it. In the last solo episode, we talked about stillness, about what happens when you stop forcing clarity, when you pause long enough for truth to rise on its own. But I realized stillness alone isn't always enough, because truth can surface in stillness and still not be ready to live. So this episode is the layer beneath that. Stillness allows truth to rise. Safety allows truth to stay. Without safety, insight flickers and then disappears. It feels clear in one moment and then unreachable in the next. Not because the truth isn't real, but because the body can't yet hold what that truth would require. So if the first solo invited you to stop pushing for clarity, this solo invites you to build conditions that make clarity sustainable. Not through effort, not through urgency, but through safety. What do you need to sit with today so your body can build the conditions to be safe? Not to feel safe in the moment, but to be safe, period. You don't need to think your way there. Just notice what resonated. Let it settle. Let it land beneath the words, all the way down into the body. Our shift has ended for today.